Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're focusing squarely on a very specific, highly transformative piece of text. This is ACIM Lesson 153. We're going to break down its core message and, more importantly, make its rather deep philosophy completely accessible and practical for your everyday life.
Right off the bat, the text presents us with this core lesson. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. Okay, let's pause and really look at that. Because at first glance, this sounds completely backwards, doesn't it? If you're feeling burned out, exhausted, or constantly on edge in your life, this statement is a profound paradox that we are going to unpack today. I mean, how could dropping your guard possibly make you safe? Let's find out. Section 1. The Trap of Defensiveness, the Illusion of Safety. Before we can even begin to understand true safety, we absolutely have to acknowledge the very real, very human feeling of being threatened. We live in a constantly changing, unpredictable world. It's a world that often feels like its fortune twists on a dime, lending us these temporary gifts, relationships, jobs, successes, only to just as quickly take them away again.
The text starts with a pretty stark premise. It argues that seeking genuine safety in the external world is ultimately an illusion. Why? Because the world as we typically experience it operates on an endless, exhausting cycle of attacking and being attacked. Any safety the world offers is really just a temporary pause before the next shoe drops. True peace of mind is simply impossible if you're constantly waiting for the next danger to strike. This psychological trap works in a vicious cycle. Step 1. We perceive a threat, which instantly triggers anger. Step 2. That anger then makes us feel totally justified to attack back in the name of self-defense. And honestly, we often feel pretty righteous about it. But step 3, this sets up a flawed system, because defending ourselves is actually a double threat. It proves to our own minds that we are weak and vulnerable enough to need defending in the first place. Finally, step 4, our mind becomes incredibly confused. We get trapped in this toxic loop of attacking and defending, completely unable to find an escape from our own fearful imaginations. Section 2. Cost of defenses, the toll on our minds. Now let's transition into the severe mental toll that this constant state of guarding ourselves, of anticipating the next attack, takes on our daily lives. The source material uses some beautifully dramatic imagery here. It describes this cycle of attack and defense as binding the mind in heavy bands of steel with iron overlaid. That's quite a heavy metal aesthetic for a spiritual text. But the point is powerful. It's returning day after day to start the exact same stressful cycle again. We think our defenses are keeping the bad things out, but what this text brilliantly points out is that our own defenses actually imprison our minds. They sabotage our peace and lock us in a cage of our own making.
So the crucial point is that these defenses are the absolute costliest price we pay. The text mentions the ego here. To translate that jargon a bit, just think of the ego simply as our fearful, hypervigilant, defensive self. It's the part of our mind that makes us a slave to the illusion of constant threat. When we operate from this fearful place, we sacrifice our internal peace and our sanity, completely blind to the devastation this constant stress is causing us. Section 3. True Strength. Defenselessness. Here is where the text completely flips the script and reveals its core paradox. The secret isn't to build better walls, it's realizing that dropping our armor is exactly what makes us unassailable.
We often equate defensiveness with safety, but the text argues it's actually rooted in weakness and fear. It's a constant proclamation that you are vulnerable to illusions. In stark contrast, true defenselessness represents incredible strength and invulnerability. By putting down your sword and shield, you are essentially tapping into a deep, inner spiritual strength, referred to here as the recognition of Christ. That is so immense, the very idea of needing to defend it becomes silly. Defenselessness can never be attacked because it recognizes a strength so great that an attack just seems foolish. Section 4. The Happy Game. Redefining Salvation. To help us understand this release from fear, the text shifts away from grim imagery and introduces a truly beautiful, comforting metaphor.
It completely redefines the concept of salvation. We often think of that word as a heavy, serious religious duty. Actually, scratch that. It's often seen as a burden. But the text describes it here as a game that happy children play. It's a joyous game designed to replace our fearful toys, a game where there are no losers. Everyone who plays must win, and in their winning, everyone else's gain is guaranteed. It's a cooperative, win-win game of happiness. Because of this, we can finally smile.
We can realize that the story we were telling ourselves, this terrifying destiny full of threats and vengeance that we needed to defend against, was really just a deluded fantasy. We can put away our fearful toys of guilt and recognize that the dangers we were so frantically building walls against were never ultimately real. We just mistook a senseless, bad dream for reality, and its tiny instant for eternity.
Section 5. Daily Peace, Practical Steps. Okay, so this sounds wonderful in theory, but how do we actually do it? The text doesn't just leave us with high-level esoteric philosophy. It offers highly practical, tangible advice for your everyday routine.
The text lays out a concrete schedule to turn these ideas into a daily routine. You begin every single day focusing on that core thought: in my defenselessness, my safety lies. You dedicate 5, 10, or 15 minutes of quiet preparation to this goal. Then, throughout the day, do an hourly check-in, even if it's just for a minute, to remember your purpose. And finally, use that time to sit quietly, wait, and listen for inner guidance rather than reacting with your ego.
Think of it as a new morning routine. Instead of putting on your armor and getting ready to fight the world, you consciously clothe yourself in defenselessness. You rise up strong, purposefully letting your perceived weaknesses and anxieties disappear, because you are consciously deciding to be supported by a higher divine strength. You stop carrying the weight of the world on your own shoulders.
And let's be real, throughout the day, the busyness of the world will absolutely close in on you. You'll feel the urge to build up walls again. When that happens, the text offers this incredibly simple tool. Just pause for a moment, step back from the instinct to attack or defend, and listen for this inner reassurance. I am here. It's a micro moment of peace to instantly reset your mind and remind you of the holy purpose you chose in the morning. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this powerful, provocative question directly from the text. If you truly align with this inner strength, if you step out of the exhausting game of attack and defense and recognize your inherent safety, what defense could possibly be needed by the ones who are among the chosen ones of God? Ponder that today as you put down your armor. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you find a real, lasting sense of peace in your own defenselessness.